How much is the price of a human life? No, really, can you put a price on it? And if there is a price, who decides it? This question leads us straight into today's topic, the pharmaceutical industry, the trillion-dollar business of medicine. Could there be cures for cancer, diabetes, or heart disease that are being hidden because it isn't profitable to cure people? What if the outbreaks we hear about, monkeypox, Nile fever, COVID-19, aren't just accidents of nature but opportunities for profit? Today, I'll take you behind the scenes of how pharmaceutical companies work and why they're much worse than you imagine. A week ago, I started thinking about monkeypox, the latest epidemic. One thing led to another, and I found myself deep diving into the pharmaceutical industry. What I found changed my perspective on medicine completely. Behind every pill you take, there's a world of research, lawsuits, monopolies, and strategies designed to make money, often at the expense of the very people these companies claim to help. Before we continue, if you find this topic eye-opening, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. That way, you won't miss any of my deep dives into industries that shape our world. Let's start by looking at the numbers. In 2023, the pharmaceutical market was valued at an astronomical $1.59 trillion. How did something as basic as medicine, essential for life, become so profitable? Think about it. When you walk into a pharmacy, you're overwhelmed by choices. The same medicine might have 50 different versions, ranging from dirt cheap to outrageously expensive. Why? Why do some diseases still have no cure, despite all our advancements? Why does the price of medicine rise every year? Here's the scariest part. If you or someone you love needs life-saving medicine but can't afford it, what happens? You're left with no options. And in that moment, you realize that, to these companies, human life does have a price. How pharmaceutical companies operate. To understand how we got here, let's break down how pharmaceutical companies make money. The backbone of any pharmaceutical company is its R&D, research and development department. The process starts with the discovery phase, identifying a new virus, disorder, or medical condition. Alternatively, they might repurpose an old drug for a new use. Next, the drug undergoes years of preclinical and clinical testing to ensure it's safe and effective. These trials can take over a decade and cost billions of dollars. If successful, the company submits the drug for approval by the FDA, Food and Drug Administration, and applies for a patent, granting them exclusive rights to produce and sell the drug for 20 years. Why is a patent necessary? Patents prevent competition, allowing companies to recoup their research costs and turn a profit. Without patents, competitors could copy the drug immediately, making it impossible for the original company to recover its investment. However, this monopoly comes at a price, literally. With no competition, companies can set whatever price they want. When the patent expires, generic drugs, cheaper alternatives with the same active ingredients, enter the market, drastically reducing profits for the original company. This phenomenon, known as the patent cliff, forces pharmaceutical companies to find ways to maintain their monopoly and maximize profits before generics arrive. Investors versus patients. Now comes the big question. Who matters more to pharmaceutical companies? The patient or the investor? The answer is unsettling. Take the example of Valeant Pharmaceuticals, a company that epitomized profit-driven medicine. In 2010, Valeant brought in a new CEO, Michael Pearson, a businessman with no medical background. Pearson had one goal: prioritize investors over patients. Instead of investing in R&D to develop new drugs, he focused on acquiring smaller pharmaceutical companies that already had profitable drugs. Once he acquired a company, Pearson cut its research budget and raised the prices of its drugs exponentially. For example, a drug called Cyprin, used to treat Wilson's disease, saw its price skyrocket from $38 per month to $21,000 per month over just 5 years. Patients had no choice but to pay or face death. Valeant wasn't alone. Turing Pharmaceuticals, led by the infamous Martin Shkreli, raised the price of an AIDS drug, Daraprim, from $13.50 per pill to $750. These price hikes weren't due to higher production costs or increased demand. They were purely profit-driven. This practice has become commonplace in the industry. Instead of focusing on saving lives, companies prioritize their bottom line, often at the expense of the most vulnerable. The role of patents. Patents are supposed to reward innovation, but they've become tools for exploitation. In the 1800s, patents on medicine were largely prohibited. The medical community believed that medicine should serve humanity, not be monopolized for profit. However, during the American Civil War, the demand for medicine skyrocketed and pharmaceutical companies began seeking patents to protect their investments. Today, patents last for 20 years, but companies have developed strategies like evergreening to extend them indefinitely. Evergreening involves making minor changes changes to a drug, such as altering its color or dosage, and filing for a new patent. Another tactic, product hopping, involves discontinuing an old drug and replacing it with a slightly modified version, forcing patients to switch. These practices allow companies to maintain their monopolies and keep prices high, even after the original patent expires. Generic drugs. Generic drugs are crucial for making medicine affordable. Once a drug's patent expires, other companies can produce identical versions at a fraction of the cost. This competition forces prices down, benefiting consumers. However, pharmaceutical companies go to great lengths to delay generics. They file lawsuits, lobby for favorable regulations, and use tactics like evergreening and product hopping. Despite these obstacles, generics have successfully lowered drug prices in many cases, providing a lifeline for patients who can't afford brand-name medications. In the 1960s, the thalidomide disaster exposed the dangers of inadequate drug regulation. Thalidomide, a drug for pregnancy-related nausea, caused severe birth defects in over 10,000 babies worldwide. Fortunately, the drug was never approved in the US thanks to the vigilance of an FDA official. This tragedy led to stricter regulations, including mandatory clinical trials and FDA approval processes. While these measures improved drug safety, they also increased the time and cost of development, giving companies more justification for high prices. Neglected diseases. Pharmaceutical companies prioritize diseases with large patient populations, such as diabetes and heart disease, because these conditions generate the most profit. Rare diseases, known as orphan diseases, often go untreated because they aren't financially lucrative. To address this, governments have introduced incentives for researching orphan diseases, such as tax breaks and extended patents. However, these measures are still insufficient. Many rare diseases remain neglected, leaving patients without hope. The cure conspiracy. Let's address the conspiracy theory that pharmaceutical companies are hiding cures for diseases like cancer or diabetes. While it's tempting to believe, this theory doesn't hold up. If one company discovered a cure, others would quickly develop competing treatments to dominate the market. There's too much competition for such a secret to remain hidden. That said, the industry's focus on profit over patients does raise ethical concerns. By prioritizing treatments that generate recurring revenue over one-time cures, companies ensure a steady income stream. The bigger picture. The pharmaceutical industry wields immense power, controlling drug prices and dominating the market through monopolies and patents. Their focus on profits often leads to unethical practices, like price gouging and delaying generics. The solution lies in stronger regulations and government intervention. Governments must enforce stricter rules on pricing, limit evergreening, and incentivize research on neglected diseases. Consumers, too, must support generic drugs and demand transparency in the industry. Medicine should be a right, not a privilege. It's time to put patients before profits and ensure that life-saving treatments are accessible to all. If you believe medicine should be a right, not a privilege, share this video. It's time to put patients before profits and ensure that life-saving treatments are accessible to all. And if you haven't already, subscribe for more deep dives into the hidden realities of industries that impact our lives.